What is up, everybody? Welcome back to John's Trick Tips. We just finished filming the how to bunny hop video and gonna move straight into how to wheelie. Hope you guys enjoy, stay tuned, and let's learn some tricks. So same as before, I have my hardtail and the trail bike. Gonna teach you guys how to do a wheelie on both bikes today. So first things first, safety. Gotta always wear a helmet, obviously. Keep that dome protected. We don't want any concussions in here while we're learning how to do wheelies. So same as the last video, I'm gonna be starting things off on the hardtail. Since it is a single speed, it is kind of a little bit harder to wheelie, at least to keep it up for a long time. It has a bigger gearing ratio and it's a single speed, so I can't really shift gears and get into a lower gear. So once you start wheeling, you kind of just keep going and get faster and faster, and you end up getting to a certain speed where you're going so fast you can't just use the momentum of pedaling to keep your wheel up, and it just ends up dropping. I also have mechanical brakes on this thing, and it's hard to feather them to keep it up. So do my best to teach you guys how to wheelie on a hardtail, but yeah. So with wheelies and manuals as well, there's a balance point that you want to get to on your rear wheel. On a hardtail, it's a little different. I'm just gonna like pop a wheelie, pedal, and keep it up for the most part. But when you move on to trail bikes, like the way you see people just wheelie for forever, there's a balance point that you need to hit. There's like a tipping point on the ratio of weight on the bike in the front and then your body weight in the back that allows you to just like stay in this certain position and pedal a certain speed while using your brake to keep the front tire up and down. And you just kind of can sit there. Hardtail's a little bit harder, especially with a hard gearing ratio, but I'm gonna do my best to show you guys how it's done. All right, so when you do a wheelie, you want your arms to be locked out. You don't want them bent, because then it's just gonna create your body closer into your front end, and like it's just harder to get that balance point. So the more locked out you are and the more on the back side of your bike you are, the easier it is to leverage that bike to go the front end to get up in the air. When you're starting off on a wheelie, you need to figure out which foot you ride forward first, because the initial pull up is going to be followed by a crank of the pedals, and that'll help you lift up the front end easier with just the leverage of the force on your pedals and on the back wheel. And so most of the pop, it comes from your front foot on the pedals when you just like do that first half crank, and it lifts the bike into the air. First thing you're gonna do then is to practice that. You're gonna have your arms straight, lift up that front end, and get that half crank to get that front tire up. So now that you have your front wheel up, you're using your cranks to leverage your front wheel to get up in the air. All you gotta do is keep pedaling, and don't try to pedal super fast into it, because then you'll just speed up really quick and you'll end up spinning out of your cranks and your front tire will drop. So the slower you do the pedal, the easier it will be to control it. Like I said, I'm on a harder gearing on this hardtail, so it is hard to control, as well as my brake's not the greatest. But you normally would want to use the brake to your advantage. So if you start going too fast, you can feather the brake and allow yourself to like kind of put resistance on the brakes as well as your feet. Another recommendation I forgot to mention is definitely always have a finger on your brake. 1 or 2 fingers, I switch it off, but that way if you end up getting to it too far of a tipping point and you start to loop out, grab the brake really quick and it'll just send your front tire down. It'll be a lifesaver. Definitely keep a finger on there. I should have mentioned that earlier, but I didn't, but I did now. So I hope this helps with hardtail wheelies. That's all I really have to say. We're gonna move on to the trail bike and teach you guys the way to do it on a trail bike. So now we have the trail bike. I'm gonna teach you guys how to wheelie it. First things first, I definitely like having my dropper. I like to have my dropper up. Some people don't. I think it's easier to leverage the balance point that I kept talking about a little bit earlier. And I also like being in a low gear. Not the lowest gear, but probably 3rd from the lowest. Yeah, probably 3rd from the lowest is what I normally run. Basically the same kind of thing as the hardtail. I definitely use my front suspension to get my front wheel up in the air. So kind of like how the bunny hop video, press my front fork and then lift up my front end, arms straight, and get to that balance point. Balance point is probably around like this range, which is really scary if you're like straightening out your arms, leaning back. It can be frightening, but that's why you have your fingers on the brakes right here. And so you're gonna feather them and make sure that you don't loop out. And it may help to get to that point. Like the sweet spot is at that point where you feel like you're gonna loop out. And so you need to get there to really feel it. And once you do, you'll understand what I'm saying. There's like, it's almost like it's a balance point. I mean, you can get to that point and all of a sudden you just like, you don't have to do anything. There's no leaning forward, no back. It's just, you're just set in this wheel and in this position and it works. Simple as that. But yeah, so we're gonna run through the steps, compress the fork, lift up that front end with your pedal. You're gonna pedal into that first pull, I forgot to mention that. And then lock out your arms, lean back, have the finger on the brake, start pedaling, find that balance point. And once you start moving fast, you can feather the brake to slow yourself down. And then once the front wheel starts to drop, continue pedaling and it'll lift it up. And that's about it. So, first thing you're gonna do, compress that fork and take that first half crank to lift up that front wheel. So now you've got that front wheel up, you've taken a few pedals, you can feel that balance point. All there is left to do is keep pedaling and feathering that brake. Let's do some. So even before you start trying to do wheelies, definitely look for a big open space. I prefer parking lots with a slight incline so that you can pedal uphill and there's resistance against your pedals and it'll help things be easier to keep that front tire up while you're moving. Flat areas work too, but just don't try to do it downhill. I mean, you can, it's just way harder to learn. And too steep of hills also makes it hard to learn because then you're pedaling super hard up a hill. So I would recommend just like a slight incline. Parking lots are great for it. So that is that. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. Wheeling can be difficult when you first start, but it's one of those tricks that you need to learn to kind of transfer over to everything else, just like a bunny hop. Yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe for more. There's just going to be more and more trick tips, and hope you guys stay tuned and improve your biking skills.